Alright. We charging? Yes, okay. Okay, folks, good morning. We got some things to put away here. I'll leave these out. Over here on the painting side of things, don't tell me I left the instructions out there. I think I did. Well, we're gonna have to go to the garage. Be right back. All right. So this is the P-40. After I put the initial colors on it, after I deciphered what colors to use, because what a mess of stuff. So I got the entire Vallejo line. So I did not want to go out and buy specific Vallejo Air, Pacific, China, whatever paint scheme colors. I wanted to use what I had. I had enough different greens. And it had FS's here, and then I went online and there was a place to compare them and see what the Vallejo equivalent was. And I pulled that out and it didn't seem like it was right. So I cogitated about it a little bit. The underneath color, which is called neutral gray FS 36173, that I had found somewhere else to compare it to, just didn't seem right. This one's about This is about where it needs to be. It's kind of a medium gray, and it's a little bit of a bluish. So we airbrushed this, we primed this, we airbrushed it. We actually didn't mask the canopy. The canopy, you can't tell, but it's already painted inside that puke green avocado color that it normally is. What's up, Phil? Phil McCracken. The Scottish sea monster, McCracken. Welcome, good morning. I need to do one thing before we don't have a situation. And of course the picture I took of this is totally different. Some of these colors just vary tremendously what they look like. They vary tremendously what you guys see isn't exactly what I see. So I look at this picture that I took of this thing, and it looks like a Japanese army green color. I mean, it's actually a very pretty color, the way it looks like on the photo, but it's not quite olive drab. It's not a dark green. This FS color, which supposedly was exactly what this is this US dark green. So I think it looks pretty good. It is not one for North Africa. You know, there's a couple different, unlike the Sherman tanks, I feel like the Sherman tanks were all more of a similar color to each other than the aircraft. You got the ugly olive drab that has a lot of brown in it. You got the one that's almost black. All kinds of different mixes. So we're painting this one, of course, with a shark mouth. It would be a disaster not to do that. And we're basically building this one right here. This version of it right here. So the propellers too, this is annoying to go back and forth with the colors. Flat black, go figure. Okay. Then the nose cone is red. And this little spinner part, according to this, is olive drab. Not dark green. Interesting. Well, where's my color? Where's my box reference? This is. That's bullshit. That's not what this art. That's not what this drawing is. What this beautiful piece of artwork is. This is what actually got me to buy it. Is this artwork? That's beautiful. Let's change this. There are two things I don't like about this aircraft. And the reason I picked this one was, this is the first. Oh, that's interesting. No, they changed the color on it. I like this. I like this as the color I want to do it. Yep. And this actually was a good model, by the way. I've heard mixed things about Academy. This was a good model. Well, there's a darker section of it up there. Well, we can do that. If it involves hand painting, we got that shit down. Oh, did I fuck up something big? I think I fucked up something big. Alright. I looked at 12, painted this entire thing in that color of that. And it's actually 10. Okay. I guess we won't work on this. I guess we'll have to repaint it. Damn, it looked nice. Yeah, shit happens. I guess we'll go work on the P-47. Huh. Yeah, that's what happens when you have a black and white piece of artwork. I went down here and I'm like, oh, okay, 12. Okay, and I looked at it and I spent a long time trying to figure out what color this dark green is and then painting it, but 12 was only this section right here. Yeah, so it gets another coat. Zippy doo dah. The underside is the right color. And this is why it's important not to do this when you have to have it done by a certain time. Because it's not a big deal. I don't care. Well, I guess we'll go over here to the other end. Let's see how quick we can turn this thing around. Move the chair over to this side. Adjust this so it's like that. And we're back over here where we were yesterday. Ah, shit happens. I was enjoying airbrushing anyways. Not a problem, especially since I paint really thin. Gotta bring a coffee over. Okay. Welcome to the Mistake Channel. Alright, I guess we'll continue working on the P-47. I'm not firing up the airbrush to do that this morning. Yeah, I wouldn't have time to get shit done. Airbrushing takes forever. A13, that's the B, that's the 2B frets. What fret is this one? F. It's gotta be this one or something's wrong. A. I don't like what it's asking me to do here. It's asking me to remove this piece here, and there it is, but here it's pictured it on it. I don't know what the hell is going on there. That doesn't make any sense. But then it has me add more guns on it. Well, I'm not going to remove it. Because I'll always remove it later. Okay. A13 goes on that side. This one's going to be shiny metal. The P-40 is just apparently overall olive drab, not that dark green. Oh well. Fucking shit happens. It's just, that was just an extra disappointment just to get me in the mood for going to work. This thing's going to be shiny metal. Just another disappointment before I go to work. Damn, it's early where you're at. You probably haven't gone to sleep, knowing you. If you see me at 4 o'clock in the morning, it's because I woke up early, not that I'm still up from the night. Alright. Come on. We can put it away. Well, we should have plenty of these. I'm going to finish the P-40 and the Spitfire and that I-15 first. I got home a lot later yesterday than I should have from work. And that kind of threw me all off because I wanted to airbrush. Then I just had time to airbrush one plane instead of all three. Oh well. I was able to paint that without masking it though. That was pretty cool. For some reason, the bottom of this is kind of flashy, which is the only flash I've seen on this Tamiya model. I'd lower this table to be able to be more over it, but I'll fuck up my neck. I'm over here fighting with myself. Stop putting shit to the right of me. Alright, and this should fit in here almost without glue. I was never a fan of this aircraft. What are you saying? I said, I just never a fan of it. I like it in the bubble top, but this was given to me. I won this in a raffle, so I'm not going to complain. I'm glad I'm building it. This is a beautiful model. But I do appreciate that lots of people like this aircraft more than I thought they did. There's always those P-51 fans. Well, the P-51s weren't around the whole time. P-51Ds, I should say. Good morning. Does the no paint have a special name like air superiority or something? I don't know. Natural finish? Aluminum? We're gonna weather it in the same way I weather things. Maybe not as intense, but this isn't gonna look like this. A bit too shiny and the panel lines don't pop enough. All right, we finished all our little bits. Good morning, Justinian. You finished off yesterday just before you left. You said, I have a CRV. See, I pay attention. I actually had a dream last night. What a messed up dream this is. Where I traded in my WRX. Well, actually, the trading in part wasn't in the dream, okay? It was just like, bam, all of a sudden I have this other two vehicles. I had what did I get? A Dodge Challenger or a Charger, one of the two. Challenger had a stick. Or at least that's what it was in a dream. I don't physically remember it, whatever. And a Jeep. And they were both used and were both in really bad shape. It's a shame that there's no way I would drive an American domestic vehicle. And it's a shame that the QC on them is as bad as they are. But I've said this before. The best vehicles in the world should be made in the United States and Britain. And that's not the case. That is not the case. Whereas if you look at tanks, I don't know how aircraft are. I suspect aircraft are the same way in World War II. The American vehicles, nobody could touch them. Reliability wise, it wasn't even close. It wasn't even close. And I'm not saying that because I live here. I'm just I got to call them things like they are, I don't know how aircraft are. I suspect it's probably similar. But American trucks, dude, nobody could touch American trucks. World War II American trucks, most reliable, not even close. American tanks, not even close. I'm actually going to let that dry a little bit. We'll go over here the other way. See how this is doing. As a matter of fact, I may be incorrect on this. I think the Italian trucks in the desert are more reliable than the German ones. I don't think the Italian trucks in the desert were bad, if I remember correctly. They're, I think, pretty reliable. Now, the tanks, that's a different matter altogether. Owned 2 Chevy vehicles, they were junk. The truck gave me the most problems. Why? 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 Why do they not? Do I not care to make things properly here? I don't understand it. Oh, it's only meant to last 3 years. Like, where's your fucking pride, man? And I wish that wasn't the case, but pickups in Michigan. Pickups in Michigan rust like hell. Yeah. Yeah. Get them to stop putting salt on the roads. Thought I bought it from a used dealership. You know, I always had this attitude. It's like, man, why am I going to buy a used car? Somebody had to get rid of it for a good reason. But then again, you have to start thinking of, you're not thinking things the way many people think. Like, I think long and hard about what vehicle I'm going to do, and then I hold on to it, not switch it out every 3 years or 2 years or whatever. It's different if it's a lease. I mean, you have to switch it out. It's not yours anymore. You're just renting it. But owning it, I don't feel like driving this anymore. Well, tough. You should have made a smart decision, because that's that's a money pit. But there's lots of people that are that way. Oh, new phone. I gotta have the newest phone. Why? Your old phone works just fine. Well, I don't have the latest and the greatest. People. Oh, I switched out our furniture. What? That's last year's fashion. The fuck's wrong with you? What, are you made of money? Are you the money picker off the money tree? Electric problems, yeah. Yeah, well, there's too many things they're complicating too many things. Domestic vehicles are notorious for that. Electrical issues. Semovente had good gun, but they riveted the armor on. Well, lots of people riveted the armor. That's not necessarily a bad trademark. They were just unreliable in range, and if they had more Semoventes, that would have been okay, but it's like the Sherman. They really didn't improve. They didn't improve the Sherman dramatically as the war went on. So people go, oh, Sherman's a bad tank. No, it wasn't. It was like the best tank in 1942. At Alamein, it's like the best tank. The problem is they decided, well, we'll just make more of this model instead of changing it every every time a problem comes along, we can't produce anything. We can't get any numbers out there, which is what the Germans did. Plus, the Germans were getting outproduced anyways. But I don't think they made that many Semoventes. The Italian Stug. I think it's really ugly, but that doesn't mean I wouldn't build one. I was reading something about my Sicily thing, and my favorite ugly World War II vehicle, the Duck, apparently made its debut there, and it did not go well for it. Last vehicle I had for 20 years. That's a long time. That's a long time. Yeah, I don't need all that latest technology in the map and the console and none of that stuff. I don't even need automatic windows. Electric windows. They come with that. I just want air conditioning. I ain't dealing with that air conditioning. Fuck that. I need air conditioning, Bluetooth, cruise control. That's it. I need cruise control. This town is just ate up with cops. Just completely ate up. There's a fucking problem there. They must have like really good donuts or something like that in that fucking town because it is out of control. The town is probably, 10,000, 11,000, something like that I drive through to get to work. And it works in that town. It's just on the other side of it. It's out in the country on the other side of the town. And, it used to be the little Barney Fife Police Department. Sure, they're out there giving tickets because they need revenue. But now the sheriff is out there. Highway Patrol's out there all the fucking time. Like, dude, get on the interstate. What are you doing on this road? Just wild. Just pulling people over like they're 4 foot tall with a heart on, And I don't dislike cops, but man, Jesus, man, it's like a terrorism, cop terrorism. So I put cruise control on, like fuck you. I'm going 45 miles an hour. Sherman went from cast hull to welded, and got bigger. Not the turret did. The hull didn't dramatically get bigger, but it's mostly the same tank. There's nothing wrong with it. Sure, they made some improvements, like, the ammo wouldn't catch fire as easily and things like that, but, the early Sherman versus the late Sherman is like the difference between, say, like a Mark III G and a Mark III L. It's not dramatically different. Sure, it had. I don't know they up armored it anymore. It was a good design. There's nothing wrong with it. Added more hatches for the people getting in and out of the turret, stuff like that. But like, if you're going to use it in micro armor, they're all the same, right? Because the differences aren't. When you zoom out, the differences aren't that big. The difference between a cast hull M4A1 and an M4A3 isn't demonstrably different than in most game systems. They're not going to be any different. I bet they're not different in Flames of War. Not that I think that that's the cat's meow or anything like that, but well, I am going to go ahead and glue the wings. I just thought, well, maybe not glue the wings just for ease, but we got landing gear and shit, and that's just going to be. We're going to have a cornucopia of problems. The other thing I didn't realize is, maybe I didn't really think about it, is the front of this thing is not round. It's quite oval. And not only is it oval, but it's like the shape of an alien's head. Where it's bigger up here than at the bottom. Kind of cool. Same motor. Nah, they jumped all over the place with the motors, man. They had an aircraft engine first, and then the British ones had a different one, and but they were the most reliable motors. You know, I've said this before, and it really surprised me when I found this out, that if the Germans invaded the Soviet Union in 1941, and the Soviet Union, and they just lead with all their tanks, and they have enough fuel, right? If the Germans have enough fuel, and they lead with their tanks, and the Soviets put up nobody between them and Moscow, the German tanks can't make it to Moscow without getting their engines have to be rebuilt. That's crazy. I'm just talking about distance, not even like wear and tear over uneven things, just like distance wise. A German engine couldn't make it from the border to Moscow without having to be replaced. That's insane. That's like, we have no idea what inefficiency that is. That's like, wow. But then you think about it, and like, how long have motorized vehicles been around by 1941? A couple decades? Not that long, you know, and now you're trying to push, well, the Panzers are all around 20 tons, you know, 22 tons worth of equipment across, you know, ground. Forget being shot at and stuff. Like, I don't know exactly what the length of the American tanks are, but the American tanks had like at least 5 times the reliability of that, which is still shitty. So that's the kind of stuff that you don't think about. That's not exciting. I don't get excited about logistical stuff, bringing in supplies and stuff like that. But like maintenance things that just fall apart whether or not you abuse them or not. So far, this AK one-shot primer is significantly better than the Vallejo one. Now, the Vallejo one might be fine for hand painting, but I'm airbrushing with the AK one. It works a lot better. We have tons of border patrol. I'll buy me because the farmers get all these illegal Mexicans. Well, then you're worried about getting paid under the table. Just make it so that there's no income tax. You pay all those taxes that you normally would by buying food in the store. So then you can't get away from the system unless you're buying bread and stuff under the table also. Speaking of Mexicans, there was a Mexican squadron that flew these things in the Philippines. Aztec Eagles, I think is what they called them. And Brazilians in Italy, too. Two years ago, 3 illegals were shot dead trying to break into a house. What's up, Justin? Who needed to know that? Yeah, we got enough people breaking into houses here that already live in this country. I don't think that happened in this neighborhood. We have too many Gladys Kravitz, not don't mind your own business old people here. I come home for lunch and like everybody's home. Like, Jesus Christ, man. If I was trying to set up some illegal business or something like that, I wouldn't be able to do it. There's all these nosy people. Uh-oh, we got multi-part. What the heck? The heck is this? So I guess I'll be repainting the P-40 when I get home. That's a shame. I like that color. I make a hell of a lot more mistakes now that I gotta wear glasses, either readers or something. They just create this tunnel vision. I was all excited about giving them a brown wash. You know, so that's what I was gonna do. I was gonna give the P-40 a brown wash, then come in and dry brush that same color again. Hey, my stream is really choppy. There's nothing I can do about it. I don't do anything, and when it behaves well, that's also not my fault. So. Yep. Justin was talking about the illegals breaking into a house, and all of a sudden the illegals started stealing all the copper wire, and now I got a choppy reception. No, it's just, it has to do with who knows what. You know, I really don't know what it has to do with. Okay, here's a piece here. This has an American little roundel on it. It says B12. I don't know what I'm looking at. Oh, I see. Oh, is there a logo on it? Oh, no. No, is there a decal that goes for it? That'd be silly to have that decal there. So you got Germans to pound. You don't even worry about freaking putting a decal on your... A15, A16. All right. The A Fred is over here. My daughter was in Spain. Well, she just got back. She got back from Spain, but she said there was a delay on her train. Her train like stopped in the middle of the tracks. She was traveling between two cities. Not at the end, but like a month ago or a couple months ago. And the train, the high-speed train, stopped in the middle of the tracks because there was a situation up ahead where people were stealing copper wire. I don't, and the train doesn't run on that copper wire, so I don't know if it was something that was near the tracks, that there was a crime scene investigation or something. But that kind of stuff's like, dude, it's just easier. Just go get a job, man. Just go work your normal job, then go and steal other people's shit. A15. Okay, here's A15, but there's like, oh, the B11, the little B11 peg. Okay, and let's go to B11, which won't be here. Oh, that's small. One piece wheels. Thank you, Jesus. P-47 kill ratio is 4.6 to 1. You mean against Luftwaffe pilots? That's pretty high, especially when you're out producing them too. Well, we know there was a disproportionate amount. I'm totally shooting from the hip what I'm about to say right now. I'm just using common sense. We know that there was a disproportionate amount of armed forces on the Eastern Front as opposed to on the West. Like for every guy that was in Western Europe, and obviously it varied a little bit, but there was at least 3 on the Russian front, maybe even 4. But the airplanes, I bet wasn't. I bet it was more closer to parity. I'm just guessing. I bet there was still more on the Eastern Front because it's just such a much larger front. But and you got to do some kind of protection against the bomber attacks and things like that. But the Germans produce a lot of aircraft. The problem is they just run out of experienced pilots. And I don't know that experienced pilots would make a huge difference when you're talking about attacking these formations that have a shitload of bombers in them. Where's the tweezers? Oh, there's a little 2 peg holes. Look at that. They don't even have you worry about getting it at the right angle. They put a hole there so you can't help but put it at the right angle. Don't be falling out on me. We got to test everything before we do anything else. I mean, there's even rivets on the inside of this thing. On the inside of the wall. This is some insane detail. However, it does not tell you where on this side to attach it to, so it's not perfect. Like this is completely open. I'm going to go ahead and glue it into place. Oh, no, they do give you a little piece. I just wasn't used to it being shown in a different picture. It's in 2 different places. Used to those Eastern European kits where they just, if you miss it, you lose. Now, how does that attach? Let's see if we have another drawing of it. Shit. Yeah, we gotta stop. We gotta stop and go to that godforsaken place. Their pilots often got P-47 and Focke-Wulf mixed up. I could see that. Spain was probably excited that a Spaniard won the Indy 500. Be more excited if they won Formula One. Blue, orange, green, brown. Slight is the color code for Ethernet wire. Yeah. Yeah, if my feed gets jerky, it's nothing I'm doing. I'm over here, not over there. All right, folks.